Good morning, everyone. I'm Nicole Majeski, Secretary of the Delaware Department of Transportation, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to today's very important event. Thank you all so much for being here. We're happy to be able to host today's event with I-95 as our backdrop to really emphasize our collective commitment of addressing the increased speeding that we are seeing on our roadways. We are joined today by transportation officials and law enforcement agencies from across the East Coast. I want to specifically take a moment to recognize a few officials that are with us here today. We are joined today by the Maryland Lieutenant Governor, Miller. Everybody's behind me now. I can't see where you all are. And we're also joined by several transportation officials. This just happens to coincide with the Northeast Transportation Association official conference that we are having here in Wilmington. So we are very fortunate to also be joined today by Maryland DOT Secretary Wiedefeld, New Jersey DOT Commissioner Scacchetti, District DOT Director Lott, and representatives from the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation and the Vermont Department of Transportation. Again, thank you all so much for being here. This commitment, transportation officials and law enforcement coming together, really represents our collective focus on safety, and that we are committed to working together to address the crisis that we're seeing on our roadways with the increased number of serious injuries and fatality crashes. Yesterday, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration held an event to talk about this issue on a national level, and I'm so pleased today that we have our regional administrator from NHTSA here to talk about what we're seeing in the Northeast. Please join me in welcoming Stephanie Hancock.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here. According to the U.S. Department of Transportation's National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, also known as NHTSA, it's no surprise that speeding is a dangerous and aggressive behavior that accounts for more than 1/3 of all traffic fatalities in the United States. This is why NHTSA is working with law enforcement, the medical community, transportation officials, and many, many others to end speeding and keep vehicle passengers and pedestrians safe by reminding drivers of the dangers of speeding. And as also, as the commissioner mentioned yesterday, we kicked off our national Speeding Wrecks Lives paid media campaign. The campaign is designed to remind motorists that speeding is illegal and it endangers you, your loved ones, and even strangers. While speeding may seem like the quicker option, speeding catches up with you. And that is why I'm asking anyone here today and anyone seeing this to help us spread the message about the dangers of speeding. Yesterday, along with kicking off our national speed campaign, we released new data, and it's not good. Our new numbers show that speeding fatalities reached a 14-year high in 2021. Speeding-related fatalities increased 8% from 2020 to 2021, with 12,330 people killed in speeding-related crashes. Additionally, speeding injured 328,000 people in 2021. That's a heavy burden for those that are injured and killed, their families, first responders, law enforcement, and our medical system. This campaign is one of many ways NHTSA and the U.S. Department of Transportation are working to address our nation's traffic safety crisis. It's also part of the department's National Roadway Safety Strategy, which adopts something called a safe system approach. And if you've not heard of it, I want to take just a few seconds to explain what a safe system approach is. The focus of this strategy is that it builds on multiple layers of protection with safer roads, safer vehicles, safer streets, safer speeds, and better post-crash care. It's considering every one of these layers of protection and making sure each one is addressed to the fullest and that each of these layers work together to create the safest environment possible. A safe system approach is based on the following principles. Death and serious injury are unacceptable. Humans make mistakes. Humans are vulnerable. Safety is proactive. Redundancy is critical. And most importantly, responsibility is shared. Speeding is not just law enforcement's problem. It's not just the emergency room doctors and our EMS's problem. It's not just the transportation and highway safety professionals' problem. Speeding affects everyone. Speeding is everyone's problem, and it will take everyone working together to make a difference and save lives. Remember, no matter how safe a driver you think you may be, speeding is dangerous. The data is clear. Speeding wrecks lives. There's nowhere you need to be so quickly that's worth putting your life on the line or someone else's. I'm asking everyone to slow down. It's the safe thing to do. It's the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, for being here with us to share this important campaign. It is now my honor to welcome up the Secretary of the Delaware Department of Safety and Homeland Security, Nathaniel McQueen. Before he comes up here, I do want to just say, from the very beginning here in Delaware, and as you will see collectively throughout all the states that are represented today, the partnership between transportation and law enforcement, as well as our Office of Highway Safety, has been critical in order to get this message out and to save lives. And so it's my pleasure to be able to introduce Secretary McQueen, my partner in all this.
Good morning. Thank you, Secretary Majeski, and thanks to all of our federal, state, and local partners for being here today, and welcome to Delaware. It's always good to be in the presence of all of our partners in highway safety. While you've heard the rising statistics from Secretary Majeski and Administrator Hancock, they cannot be overstated. In 2021, Delaware experienced a 15-year high in fatal accidents, resulting in 139 traffic fatalities. Unfortunately, in 2022, we exceeded that number and ended the year tied with an all-time high of 165 fatalities. Thus far, in 2023, we've experienced 71 fatalities, resulting in 78 fatal injuries. Tragically, Delaware is not unique. Many states are facing the same challenges, and these fatalities continue to occur across our state, across our region, and across the country. This trend cannot be overstated. Speeding has contributed to 48% of all fatal crashes in 2023. It is a critical issue that requires our immediate attention and our action. The good news is that these crashes are preventable. By understanding the risks, promoting education and awareness, we can combat these issues and make our roadways safer for everyone. It starts with instilling a sense of responsibility and respect for law enforcement and laws in new drivers, and reinforcing those values and behaviors throughout their driving history. The work done by all of our traffic safety partners here today, involved in finding solutions to make our roadways safe, is an excellent example of our federal, state, and local agencies working together. While we all remain committed to increasing enforcement, education, engineering solutions, we hope that the National Speeding Campaign, additional resources focused on interstate, proposed legislation, and safety measures will also impact behavior and the safety of our roadways. We must recognize that safe roadways is not just the responsibility of government or law enforcement agencies, but a collective responsibility that is shared by every citizen. I will conclude my comments by thanking everyone for joining us today. It is incumbent upon all of us to continue to collaborate and strive toward our shared goal of reducing fatalities and improving safety and security on our roadways. Slow down and stay safe. Thank you.
Now it's important for us to hear from the Medical Association and Society, because they are seeing firsthand the impact that crashes are having and that speeding is having on our roadways. So with that, I would like to ask Dr. Robert Rosenbaum, from the Emergency Medical Director from Christiana Care, to come on up and say a few words.
Thank you, Secretary Majewski. And I am actually the Medical Director for the Office of EMS, just to be clear. But thank you for the opportunity to speak and support this important initiative. The Office of EMS has had a longstanding partnership and appreciates the support from the Office of Highway Traffic Safety. We look forward to continuing this ongoing relationship as part of the Safe Streets Initiative. Highway crashes continue to lead to some of the most critically injured patients being seen at our trauma centers. Not surprisingly, higher speeds lead to greater levels of injury. We can tell this from years of experience going back to Sir Isaac Newton. And I'm not going to go too much science for you, but I think understanding the why is important. Force and speed are directly related, but they are related to the square of the speed. What does that mean? It means that if you're crashing at twice the speed, you have 4 times the force applied to the occupants of a vehicle. If the crash occurs at 3 times the speed, it's 9 times the force to those occupants. Occupants can't tolerate levels of force at those levels. They lead to fatal injuries. They lead to permanently disabling injuries. When we drive with excessive speed, we lose the opportunity to avoid a crash. We lose the opportunity to brake and decrease that speed. The collision that occurs happening at that higher speed with greater impact exerts forces on the body that cannot be survived. EMS is working to try to minimize and mitigate the effects of crashes. We're adding to our care constantly. We're working to improve care of head-injured patients. We have added whole blood to our paramedic units in the field to provide care. In our only 6 weeks of adding whole blood for only the most critically injured patients, we've already administered 12 units of blood to patients who are either entrapped or in hemorrhagic shock as a result of a major motor vehicle collision. That is much higher numbers than we expected. We hope that the initiative to lower speed will improve the outcomes for our patients by minimizing crashes and by lessening their effects when they do occur. We support this initiative and hope it's successful in decreasing these adverse events for all of our patients. Thank you.
Now I'd like to invite up the Department of Transportation Commissioner from Connecticut, Garrett Ucalito, for some remarks. Also a fellow NASTO state, partner in all the safety initiatives that we're working on collaboratively.
Thank you, Secretary Majeski, and thanks for hosting us today in Delaware. It's actually a real great honor for all of us to be here in Delaware, which has seen such tremendous success this year on combating traffic deaths and injuries. So congratulations to Delaware on getting that huge legislation passed to help make your roads safer. And I think it's an example all of our states want to follow. Up and down the I-95 corridor, we continue to see safety conditions not improve. For many of us in Connecticut, 2020, we saw speed skyrocket on our roadways. And I think all of us in the transportation industry assumed once the congestion and the traffic returned, speeds would go down. Well, traffic's back, if you ask any of our residents in Connecticut, but the speeds are still up there. And it's leading to serious injuries and increased deaths on our roads. It's not just what we used to call speeding. It's reckless, selfish, dangerous behavior on our roads. Just recently in Connecticut, we had someone clocked going 130 miles per hour through a work zone with active workers. Thankfully, our law enforcement partners were able to safely track the individual down and take them into custody. But that's not uncommon for our work zone employees, both at ConnDOT and in our contracting community, to encounter that every day. So how do we fix this? Us in the transportation industry, we can do some engineering, but it requires education and enforcement as well. It's a partnership. We're not going to put a speed table on I-95, but we can do things with increased enforcement, education campaigns, automated work zone speed cameras, which we've rolled out in Connecticut. Sorry about that. And we can replicate the success of what we've seen in other parts of the country. It is a partnership. We need to continue to work together to drive down those speeds, make people pay attention behind the wheel, realize that it is a decision that they're making to speed on our roadways, and it will wreck lives. So thank you for having us from Connecticut.
Now it's my honor to welcome Colonel Melissa Zebley from the Delaware State Police. The importance and the partnership that we have with our law enforcement officers cannot be stressed enough, and we are so grateful for their commitment and their partnership in helping us keep our roadways safe. So, Colonel?
Thank you, Secretary Majeski. I'm certainly honored to represent not only Delaware State Police, but all of my allied partners who stand behind me and alongside of me in this effort. We in Delaware are proud to join forces with our allied agencies along the I-95 corridor in this multi-state enforcement initiative aimed at raising awareness and ensuring the safety of all individuals on the road. Our message and our mission are straightforward. Compliance with speed limits and enhanced driver vigilance will create safer roads, safer drivers, and will save lives. Regardless of where your family may reside, our roadways are our shared community, and therefore our shared responsibility to protect. Speeding continues to be a significant contributing factor in crashes, and it can have catastrophic consequences for drivers, passengers, pedestrians, and cyclists alike. Through this national speed campaign, we aim to prevent crashes, minimize life-altering injuries, and ultimately save lives. We hold roadway safety as our top priority and believe that promoting responsible driving habits is the best way to achieve this goal. We want everyone to remember that speeding not only violates traffic law, but also puts at risk the lives of others, including your own. So we encourage drivers to be mindful of their speed and considerate of others on the road. Throughout this campaign, we can assure you of an increased police presence and enforcement activity in our communities. You will see troopers proactively enforcing speed limits and utilizing effective methods to identify and address instances of other traffic violations, just as we do each and every day. However, our ultimate goal is not to exclusively issue citations, but also to proactively influence driving behavior and improve individual vigilance and thoughtfulness about those around us on the roadway. I urge every one of you to join us in this mission. Following speed limits is not only a legal obligation, but it also demonstrates responsibility to ourselves, our loved ones, and our community. We want no family to experience the unimaginable knock on your door from a DSP collision reconstruction expert or a victim's advocate informing you of a tragic loss of a loved one. Adhering to speed limits can greatly decrease the likelihood of a crash, the seriousness of an injury in the event of a crash, and will ultimately foster a safer atmosphere for everyone on the roadways. Additionally, I would like to emphasize the significance of practicing defensive driving. Even while you are following the speed limit, always be vigilant and aware of your surroundings. Be prepared for unexpected situations. Keep a safe distance from other vehicles, and signal when turning or transitioning between lanes. Our commitment at the DSP, along with our state and federal partners, is to ensure the safety of our community. We believe that education and outreach are crucial to promoting safe driving practices, which is why we work tirelessly to raise awareness through various enforcement campaigns and events such as this. If a trooper engages you on the roadside, in your classroom, or at your community meeting, we are promoting public safety. Together with esteemed organizations like NHTSA, the Office of Highway Safety, and the Department of Transportation, in partnership with all the dedicated law enforcement agencies behind me, we strive to pave the way for safer roads and safer drivers. If I can leave you with just one thing, remember that your actions behind the wheel significantly impact the lives of those around you. At the end of each day, we all want to return home safely to our families. So let's make a deliberate effort to create a culture of safe driving for everyone. Please assume this mission with us. Take care, slow down, and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'd like to call up Colonel Patrick Callahan from the New Jersey State Police.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'll certainly echo the remarks of those who've gone before me, but the folks assembled here behind me, that representation of shoulder to shoulder and that collective effort underway boils down to one thing: simply saving lives by slowing down. From a New Jersey perspective, in 2021, we had 178 fatal crashes, which represented about 26% of our fatal crashes simply related to speed. We know that in Jersey and probably across the country, young and motorcyclists are extremely susceptible to serious injury and fatal crashes. In 2021, again, 34% of our fatal crashes had drivers between the age of 17 and 26. You think about that, a 17-year-old out there driving in excess of the speed limit who didn't get to go home. 79% of them were young men, 21% were young women, and each and every one of them are preventable. Anybody who's in a uniform here behind me, whether it's been for 5 years, for 30 years, every single crash that we've responded to, especially those fatal ones, were preventable. I think back of the multiple ones that I had to investigate, and the part that no one's talked about is having to knock on that door and tell that mom and dad that their 17-year-old daughter's not coming home because she was driving 85 plus miles an hour and went off the road into the trees. That is no job that anyone wants, and those in law enforcement marks the worst days of our careers, and I had to do it far too many times. So from a selfish perspective, with those behind me, asking everybody to slow down because they're preventable. Our job is obviously to save lives and to be out there to make sure that we're making sure people get from A to B. But we just ask that you choose responsibility over recklessness. I'll say it again, choose responsibility over recklessness, so none of us have to knock on your family's door ever again. Thank you. God bless.
Again, we cannot emphasize enough, safety is our top priority. Whether we are members of the transportation associations or we are in law enforcement, public safety, safety is our top priority. The safety of the traveling public and the safety of our workers that are out on the roads every day. Us joining forces collectively as an East Coast shows the importance that we are emphasizing, that the need for us to work together to keep people safe, because together we can save lives. I also want to recognize that we have representatives from AAA Mid-Atlantic that are here with us as well. Thank you for the outreach that you do with your membership, the education. You are an outstanding partner for all of us in this. So again, thank you all for being here. Please stay safe, and together we're going to save lives. Thank you.